Welcome, 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 everyone. We are so excited to have our expert Cabrin Mills with us today. He is going to speak to us and present how to market and get results without guessing. He's an expert in marketing. He's done a few flips and a few other things. He's a GP on several different deals, and we are so excited to have him as part of our team. So take it away, Cabrin. Yay.
All right, everybody. Like I said, my name is Cabrin, and I'm from Kansas City. Just a little about my background. I have been in business, sales, marketing since high school. I started when I was around 16. I was making music. So we used to write, record, and produce music, and we used to go out and sell it hand to hand, passing out flyers and things like that. That led to having a production company where we were essentially the means for others to do so. And then that led to being a recording studio. Ultimately, that sold the studio, got into real estate. So done some flips, primarily been a wholesaler for the past few years. And also I'm a licensed agent in Kansas and Missouri. Yeah, so I've kind of went through a few different business phases, and I've learned a lot. One of the things that I noticed throughout the years when I kind of reflected was that I would always market in a cold market. And it was always outbound. From the beginning, when we were going out, we would, sell hand in hand to a cold market. We really didn't have a lot of people that knew about us at the time. And then what happened was, of course, we would get a bunch of sales then, and then they would just taper off. If we stopped marketing, if we stopped doing what we were doing, we didn't see results. And then even with the real estate, there would be times where I would go door knocking, hanging flyers, doing cold calls and all these things, and we would see results as long as we would do that. But once we stopped, things would start, business would start to taper off. So at some point, I'm like, what is the key? And I tell you, there was a point where I worked at a furniture company, Nebraska Furniture Mart, one of Warren Buffett's companies. It's a great business. And when I used to work there, it was a sales position in which it was like, it seemed too easy. I'm like, this isn't real selling, because people were constantly coming into the store buying stuff all day. If you just stood around, you're going to, still make a really good income. And then that was right before I went into being a real estate agent. And I just noticed, like, having people come to you that's qualified, have money, and they want to do business with you is the key to success. I just seen the drastic difference. I was like, this is me trying to sell houses is way different than me selling furniture. And that was the biggest thing, that people were coming and they were motivated to start spending money and doing business with us. So I think that was the key. And that really just kind of clicked in my head, where I was like, I got to figure this out. So I'll share my screen here, put together a presentation. If I can see, find the button real quick. Not this either. Okay, if I can find it, I'm sorry. All right, here we are. So how to get results, how to market and get results without guessing. I got 9 things that guarantee your success in marketing. If you have these 9 pieces, I think that there's very unlikely that you won't get the results that you're looking for. And first, we'll touch on that you need to know your product and your service. You as an entrepreneur will ultimately, let me go back there. You'll know your product or your service better than anybody else. So if you have any sales or business background, you'll know that the features, advantages, and benefits. But I want to touch on the indirect benefits, which is probably one of the biggest things in marketing. So if you think about, features are usually the big words and the fancy technology or whatever. It sounds important, but we usually don't know what that means necessarily. Advantages being what that actually does. And then the benefits, what that does for me or you as a buyer. And then the indirect benefit goes a little deeper. it usually ties into like the emotional aspect of it. So I use a computer, for example. If you're talking about this computer has a lot of RAM and CPU and all this stuff, it's like, okay, that sounds important, but I don't really know what that means. But it's like, well, that makes your computer run faster. And I was like, okay, I get it. That's nice. Why is that a benefit? Because you can do multiple things at once. You can, be on a Zoom call, work on a presentation, do all these multiple things without having to your computer slowing down and freezing up on you. And I was like, okay, now I see the benefit. But the indirect benefit comes in where you say, okay, well, now that what is that really doing? Well, now that allows me to get things done quicker because I don't have to wait for these files to load, or I'm able to do presentations more confidently, knowing that my prospect is able to see me without my computer freezing up or things like that. It's the indirect benefits that often sell people because it ties it to usually more of an emotional aspect of things. So first you need to know your product and service inside and out. And I would just sit down and really list every single benefit that you could potentially offer anybody, not just your target audience, anybody. What is it that you can be able to do for any individual who could take advantage of your offering? Now, the second thing you need to know is your target audience. And we go into usually demographics, psychographics, and geographic. Demographic, age, income, marital status. Do they own a home? Do they have kids? All these type of things is usually what the most common are. And then the psychographics really get into how do they think. What is it that do they have a certain way that they make decisions? Do they identify a certain way? What motivates them or moves them? The way you talk to people. If you think of like entrepreneurs and things like that, usually they're more goal oriented, usually more motivated, and you can usually talk to them in a different way than somebody who may be accustomed to working a W-2 job and don't maybe not as self-motivated. Geographic, of course, where do they live? And then also, where do they congregate? Because even some people do business or they'll travel outside of where they live to be around other people that's like them or to learn or to grow their business in other regards. So identifying where your target audience is huge. And I have this bar down here that's kind of hindering the growth. But some of the discovery questions here is for this is from Dan Kennedy's, and it's, he has 10 in his book. But the just as you're doing a brainstorm on who your target audience is, to go deeper than just that on the surface demographic, psychographic, geographic aspects of it. It's like what keeps them up at night? What are they afraid of? What are they angry about? Who are they angry with? What trends are occurring in their business right now? And that last number 5 that's kind of black there is what is the biases that they make when making decisions. If you think of like engineers who are accountants who are really analytical, and opposed to somebody who maybe not so detail oriented, but how do they make decisions? If somebody makes more decisions off of passion and feeling and things like that, but knowing that type of stuff is a key to being able to know exactly who you're targeting. And if you already have a business and you have existing clients, this becomes easier because you could just analyze that list of individuals who you are currently working with or have in the past and see how old they are, see how much they usually make, their family status, and all these things. And you could start really seeing the trends and the patterns within your own business. But if you're starting from business from scratch, you can essentially just sit down and have a brainstorm, go through these discovery questions, go and just think who are the people that you want to work with and who are the most likely to benefit from your product, service, or offer. That's who your ideal customer is. And then you need to have a message. Copywriting, if you are not familiar with copywriting, essentially that is there's a lot of definitions of it, but essentially it's taking the written word, and now I guess it could be video or audio as well, and influencing people to make a specific decision. And so this is where you kind of marry those first two points of knowing your product and your service and knowing who it is that will benefit from it, because now you can create a message that will captivate them and motivate them to actually start taking action. The Usually you want to start with what you will address is their problems, their questions, and again, this goes back into some of those questions you asked about your target audience earlier. Then you ask what's hindering them from making this decision. If you think of it as a bridge, on one side they have their questions and their problems, and then in between they have these things that's hindering them from crossing the bridge, and then on the other side they have their desired outcome. And your marketing message should be that bridge that gets them over to the other side. And usually what motivates people is saving money, making money, saving time, avoiding effort, escaping mental and physical pain, getting more covered or comfort, achieving health, and gaining praise, feeling more love, and getting admiration, and from the people that they love. So one of the most common ways, and I call it the Sour Patch Kids method, because if you see the commercials, they do something like mean and then they hug you and do something nice. But one of the most common techniques in copywriting is to you take a problem. So say you're overweight or something along those lines, and say, hey, you're overweight. Now, aren't you, sick of not being able to run around with your kids? Aren't you sick of, not being confident at the beach? And are you, you basically kind of rub it in their face, agitate that wound. And then you say, but it's okay. I have this solution for you. Just take this action that I want you to take, and you can fix that problem. And that's usually how that's probably one of the most popular techniques when it comes to copywriting, is identifying that problem, agitating it for the person, and then bringing them across that bridge to their desired outcome, which is your product or service. So I think you need to know your medium as well. There's multiple mediums that you can use, depending on who your demographic is or who your target audience is. Everybody's a little different in this regard, especially when you think of their age and again, just their mental makeup of how they consume information. Direct mail has always been traditionally the most successful and consistent way of targeting an audience and getting a message in front of them. But then some people are on the phone, the newspaper, people still read the newspaper, magazines, emails, social media. All of these different mediums are ways of getting your message in front of these people. But you got to know, depending on who your target audience is, where are they most likely to be for you to get that message to. If you're targeting boomers and seniors, your TikTok is probably not the best place to put your message. Yeah, if you're looking to get the best results. So just knowing these, knowing where your target audience is more likely to congregate and receive information is the next thing you need to know. And then you need to have an offer, and your offer has to be compelling. Because this is, if you think of it like, if you say you wanted some Gucci shoes or something, which you don't need, and you can't justify the price for it, and you've been looking at them, you really want them, and then you're in the mall and you see 75% off these shoes that you've been wanting forever. It's like, that's too good to be true. You probably stop whatever you're doing and at least walk into the store, inquire about the deal, and and even if it turns out that that's not exactly what the deal, it was, it gets you in the store, it gets you asking questions. So you wanted to throw an offer in front of people that's almost too good to be true. And that's why I say throw everything in the kitchen sink. Like if you don't think that you're giving away too much, if you don't have to ask yourself that, your offer's probably not good enough. Because especially in this day and age where there's so much distraction and so many people, pulling for your attention one way or another, you have to give people a really compelling reason to stop whatever they're doing and really take in consideration whatever you are presenting in front of them. And usually that is in the form of an offer. So you want to be able to list everything that you do. I'll say, for an example, in my real estate company, whenever we would make a offer to buy somebody's house, we would always put together a CMA. And it was just how we showed them what their property was worth. And then we would have a scope of work, our estimated repairs, and we would walk them all the way through this. Now, originally we were just doing that as part of our process, but in reality, these things are valuable to a homeowner because now you can see what the other properties in your neighborhood are selling for. You get to know the true value of your property. You know what it could potentially be worth. And then we're also giving you a step-by-step everything that needs to be done in your house and how much that could potentially cost you to do the repairs on your own. And you get to keep all of this for free. And this is just something that we're providing. Now, initially, we were just doing that just because that was a part of us presenting offers, but now it's something that we can put in an offer to add value. So just list everything that you do and throw free in front of it. Free is key. Because I don't know what it is mentally. People like free stuff, I guess, but when you say it's free, it just puts like an additional value. So I would make a list of everything that you can do that doesn't really cost you much money or any money, or it may be things that you're already doing, but you just haven't really put any perceived value on it, and just put that in a package and say, you're getting this, you're getting this. Oh yeah, you're also getting this, you're getting this, you're getting this, and just pour it on as much as you can to make that offer as compelling as possible. The Godfather's offer is what we call that. And then we get to, you need to have a call to action. And it's amazing how many people kind of avoid this. And maybe I think to the second bullet point on there, they assume that people know what to do. But you can never, don't give people that much credit. You need to make it easy and obvious, whatever the next steps is in order for you to do business with us or with your company. You want them to know that upfront, make it clear and concise, but also you don't want to assume that they'll actually take those steps. So you need to tell them, do this, click here, call this number, fill out this order form, put it in the mailbox, whatever it is. Make it really clear and give them detailed instructions so that they can know the next steps to take in order to do business with you. People kind of like being told what to do, and most people are pretty obedient if you think about it. If there's a stop sign, even if or a stoplight, even if there's no cars coming, a lot of people are going to still stop at it. Usually people, if they see a sign, most are going to follow those instructions. So, give people the instructions so that they know what to do. A confused mind always says no. So if they don't know what actions that they need to take, then they're probably not going to take it. People will procrastinate if you let them. So you need to have a reason to act right now. That call to action needs to include scarcity. You need to put some type of limitation on that offer. Whether if we only have so many people that we can take in, we only have so many of these products that we can sell. There's some type of limit on it because that increases the value in people's minds, and then it also just makes them put off that procrastination a little bit more, because they know that they only have there's only so many to go around. And then there's urgency also. Put a time limit on it. You need to act now. This offer is only available. This amazing offer we just put together is only going to be around for till the end of the night or till next week, or however, whatever that time frame is. But make it real and be honest. Cut it off whenever that time frame, because if people know that they can come back later and it's or they'll just wait it out until you change your mind, or whatever the case is. Some people feel like, oh, you won't turn away this business, but it's like, we'll still do business with you, but the offer that we presented is no longer available. So you just want to give people that scarcity and that urgency to make them act now, so that they won't put it off. And again, like I said, in this day where there's so much distraction and so many other people pulling for their attention, it's easy to put something on the back burner and then forget all about it once life starts to hit you. Then you need follow-up, and that's kind of the key to sales. Is the follow-up. But you always want to collect their information. Always get the email, phone number, mailing address, whatever. If anybody is interested in your offer, if anybody is interested in your product or your service for whatever it may be, then always get their information so you can follow up with them. And when you follow up, you can either, if they didn't take action, if they didn't actually purchase or they didn't move forward, then you can present that same offer and position it in a different way. That's why it's important to list everything, all the benefits that you potentially offer, because one way that you offer it may not appeal to them, or they may not have known, oh, it also has this benefit as well. So you could present the exact same offer in a new package, or you could present a whole different offer that may be more appealing to them as well. We'll follow up. And then even for people who do business, if they do take the action that you were looking for, follow up again, because you may have another product, another service that they may want to take advantage of. And it's easier to get repeat business than it is to get new business. So if they've already bought from you, if they've already done business with you, it's usually to your advantage to go forward with a follow-up to see what else, how else you can add value to them, or make their previous buying decision more pleasurable by increasing their value with some other offer that you have. And then the ninth thing is you need to track your results. And that's, almost a given, it seems, but most people don't really know their numbers, but marketing becomes a numbers game. So you need to know your numbers. And at the end of the day, once you have that number, it becomes, if you have a goal or a target that you're trying to hit, now you know that you just need to talk to X number of people, or you need to put your message in front of X number of people. If you need to invest a certain dollar amount in your marketing, you can start actually putting those numbers in place to hit whatever targets that you're working for. And you need to understand that marketing is not an expense. A lot of people look at it as it's an expense. It is an investment, just like you would invest in stocks, or you would invest in real estate, or you would invest in anything else. You are buying an asset, especially if you think of a physical, like a letter or something like that, that continually bring in customers over and over again. There's companies that have been using the same marketing piece for 10, 20 years because it still works. So if you look at it, that you do have an asset, and you need to know what that return on your investment is, because once those numbers start to change and you're no longer getting that return, you may need to change that marketing piece, or change an aspect of it in order for you to continue to get the results that you once were. So that's pretty much I know I ran through a lot there, and I wanted to make sure that we had time for questions. So that is the 9 things that you need to have to get results in marketing. So I'll stop this sharing right now, and I give you all an opportunity if there's any questions. I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Cabrin. Fantastic job. So I put a comment in the chat for everyone. If you have a question, just feel free to select the reactions button in the menu at the bottom and choose raise hand, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Well, you know me, I have a question or two.
Well, Peggy and I usually always have questions and warm up the audience if nobody wants to pop up first.
Well, I had this philosophy when I used to go through things like T. Harbecker, and you did the Warrior and all this stuff where you put your life on the line. I went first so I could get it out of the way, so I didn't have that knot in my stomach for hours. So when you said, Cabrin, about free, I mean, we do a lot of things that we don't call it free. We call it service, and we give it other names other than,
or complimentary instead of using the word free.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things we have found is there's not a lot of respect for free. When people have money in the game, or time in the game, or something in the game where they're also at risk, we find that there's a lot more appreciation. I just wondered if you could make a comment on that.
Yes, I agree with that too. And I think when I was referring to the free aspect of it, it's really more of something to increase something of value. So it's not really saying you're giving something away for free necessarily. It's saying that you're getting this free with this offer. So the goal is in order to get them to take a specific action. I remember there was a play or in which they were giving away free tickets and nobody showed up, and then they started charging like $1 or $2, and like people would just start showing up. So there is a certain amount of value that people place on actually spending money. But I think that's if that's the actual product that they're paying for. The offer isn't necessarily what they are paying for. That's getting them just to take a certain action that you want them to take. So by putting free on top of your base product service, and then you're saying you get this in addition for free, you get this in addition for free. All you're doing is just building up the value. And you can actually put a dollar amount on that. Is another thing that I didn't include. So how much is this free thing actually worth? Oh, this is really $50. Normally people got to pay $100 for this. Normally a free consultation, it costs, I charge people $1,000 for this consultation, but for this one time, I'm gonna give it to you for free if you take this step right now. So I think it's more of just increasing the value of the offer that you are presenting, not necessarily giving away free things, because to your point, they won't value it as much if they don't pay for it.
Yeah, and when you go to a show or presentation, the speakers, they'll start at $10,000 and then they'll say, well, there's this, I'm going to add this value, I'm going to add that value, I'm going to add the other value, and I'm going to discount it for you today, one time only, in the next 20 minutes or whatever. And they drop it down to something like, $2,000 or $2,300 or something. So they do it the actual opposite way. They start with their high mark and then they come down. And I don't know if that makes a difference, if you found that made a difference, if you go one way or if you go the other. Does that make sense what I just said?
Yeah, and I think that works really well with large ticket items. And that's usually stacking, and that's why they do that. Is again, they build up that perceived value and they put it all the way up the top and say this is all worth $20,000, and and it's a part of getting people engaged, and they know we all know it's not going to be $20,000, and you're just like, oh, how much is it going to be? So they keep on, throwing in bonuses and things like that, and ultimately, I'm willing to spend $5,000, not the $20,000 that you originally added up all this value. And if you notice, if you look at any webinar or any, like you said, any presentation, they all do that, and that's for a reason, because it does work, and it just creates that perceived value for people, and usually gets you more money out of an offer than you would if you just made the base offer by itself.
Right.
Cabrin, we do have a question. The sharpest dressed gentleman in our audience today, Mr. Anthony Brooks, has a question.
All right.
Hey, thank you much. I appreciate it. And thanks, Peggy, for putting out the email and invite me. So first off, a couple of comments. First, thanks, Calvin. I appreciate your information. Cabrin, like I got my name messed up.
Pass it on. Just don't call me Chris.
Pay forward, I did. Thanks, Cliff. One thing, yes, to expand on what Peggy said, I saw something about Grant Cardone. He had that. He talked about once where he put out for a speaking engagement, and it was free, and when he got there, virtually nobody showed up. So he realized, hey, you put a price tag to it. I take it back. He charged something minimal, and so he got the minimal results. So he realized someone taught him to put a bigger price tag on it, and people showed up because people started to subconsciously see value in what was being offered. So it's one of those things I'm learning. Number two, you mentioned something about when it comes to social media that maybe some boomers may not pick it up. Well, I'm at the tail end of the boomer generation, and I tell you right now, I'm on social media a bit, at least checking things out, and there's a lot of folks in their 60s and up that are hanging out on there right now. I mean, anything from Instagram to TikTok, Facebook, all around. So that market is also into this area. So definitely don't discourage, don't cheat yourself out of that, because I'm not. I'm even looking at the youngsters just to figure out what they're doing. I got a 17-year-old that can keep me abreast. And then the last thing, to get your number, Cabrin, because I may be in touch with you too. So thanks a lot. Peggy, I'll be in touch with you. You threw a lot of questions at me, and I need to just bottom line, get under your tutelage so you can teach me a few things.
Quick question, Anthony. Do you TikTok?
I have TikTok, but I'm not active on there.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your question.
Anthony, I just put my number in the chat box. And to your point, yeah, you are exactly right. There are still there's a lot of opportunities still for the elderly marketing. I would say that from the perspective of who were the most likely to respond, it would probably not be on social media. But even in that regard, which social media platforms are more likely to have certain, if you think of Snapchat, is usually going to Snapchat, TikTok, these type of social media platforms are usually going to be targeted to younger audiences. The Instagram is usually more middle age, and then if you are looking at an older audience, Facebook and LinkedIn are usually going to be your better options for marketing on social media. But you are correct that I wouldn't encourage anybody to not utilize online social media marketing for whoever they're trying to target, because everybody's, especially with the phones, everybody's online.
Cabrin, before we take Douglas's question, we got one in the chat real quick I want you to address. It says, would you rather put $1,000 in sales or $1,000 in marketing, and why? I
would always put that money, and I guess it depends on the situation, but in most cases, I would say that I would always go with putting that money towards marketing, because if you have the marketing, the sales will come. Again, it goes into a numbers percentage or a percentage. If you know that you can get a certain amount of people into the door, a certain percent are going to close, and then it really just matters of maximizing your closing ratios. So if you can increase that number, and if you know exactly what that number is, and that goes back to the point of understanding what those metrics are for your marketing, because if you know how many people you need to get into the door to get one sale, you can get more sales. But if you only put that money towards sales, then you get that one sale, and then the flow kind of stops from there. So I would say marketing, but I'm fine. So.
All right, Douglas, you've patiently had your hand raised.
Yeah, no problem. 2 questions. First question, Wildcat, Jayhawk, or Ichabod?
I'll have to say Jayhawk. I believe that would be
Awesome. I noticed the 913, and I'm like, 913 is in the house. That's awesome.
Yep.
Cabrin, if you had to recommend a online digital marketing book, is there one digital marketing book that was like worth reading, that like, oh yeah, that was really great? Is there anyone that you could recommend?
For digital online marketing, I would say Russell Brunson's .com Secrets is really valuable, and honestly his whole series, which is I think .com Secrets, Traffic Secrets, and Expert Secrets, I believe. All of those were really valuable, and I've looked at almost all of Dan Kennedy's social media, specifically in the digital marketing. The No BS social media marketing book was extremely valuable as well.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, who else has a question? All right, while we're waiting for another question to come up, I have a question for you. I saw on one of your slides where you were talking about understand what people are angry about and who they're angry with. And I was very curious about that. I've never heard that before, and was just really hoping you could expand on that.
Yeah, if you think of even, especially right now during voting season and things, if you look at the ads that they run, typically they're really one-sided, saying, hey, look what this politician did. And they're either, and it's basically to that point where they're arousing some type of anger in you because of this type of person took this type of action. And it could be the government, it could be, the political party, it could be your boss, it could be your kids, it could be your ex, it could be somebody in your life who has, because again, if we think it's really just tapping into that emotional aspect, because people are going to be moved by these emotions. So if you think of what are they angry at, it's either going to get them to take a specific action or get them away from something else that they don't want to be a part of anymore. So it's just kind of identifying what are those triggers. And again, that could be people, that could be circumstances, that could be things. Like I said, they could just be angry at their circumstance. And if that's the case, then just whatever it takes to motivate them to take whatever action.
So really, you're just looking to elicit emotions so you can drive activity or action. Anger just happens to be one that gets people stirred up the most and the fastest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Cabrin, have
right.
you ever read the one sentence persuasion course?
So you said the one sentence persuasion course?
Yeah, it's right on point of exactly what you're saying. And I dropped the one sentence. There's a whole book around it, but the statement's in the chat, and it's right on point to what you're talking about.
I have not read that. I appreciate that, though.
Yeah, I think you might really dig that one because it's right in your wheelhouse with what you were talking about there.
Definitely, I appreciate that.
You bet.
So, Cabrin, we got another question in chat. This is also for Brandon. It says, if you were to start a business, what is the first thing you would work on?
If I was to start a business from scratch, I think, again, knowing that who are you serving, and really having an idea of, because even with your product that you offer, it would be catered to a specific audience. And I think that it's important, even when we go back and actually talk about who your target audience is. A lot of times if people look at businesses, and I've done it even within myself, where we would be marketing and finding a lot of deals that we would be able to make money on, but they weren't our ideal target deal that we were really wanting to get. The margins will be slim. It'd be harder to negotiate, things like that. So I think if you took the first step of actually identifying who it is that you want to serve, because a lot of times that we just accept the business that comes, in the beginning, we're just kind of trying to make money. And you end up serving people that you may or may not really want to. So I would actually, the first thing that I will work on is identifying who is my dream customer. And one thing with marketing, and I think I've heard it from Chet Holmes and Russell Brunson. Actually, there's a few different people who put this Dream 100 idea. Sit down, and if you can pick, there's no limits to who would be your most ideal customer that you would market to. And just target them. If it's just 100 people instead of going after 1,000, it would be so much easier. And if you could just get one of these people out of 100 to do business with you, it could change everything. Because a lot of times you, again, will find yourself chasing, low profit margins and things like that. So I would start with really identifying that target audience that you want to serve, and then start crafting your product or your service and your offering around being able to add the most amount of value to them, and then start kind of work backwards from your pricing.
So Ted Hollander put a little nugget down in the chat. He says, a good business is built on a tripod: sales, production, and administration. Work on what you're not good at, or better yet, hire help for your weaknesses.
Very true. Very, very true. I like the hire the help for the weaknesses. I like that better.
You grow a lot faster that way.
Yeah.
All right, who has another question?
I do. Let me find me. Oh, there I am. Cabrin, this is back on that list you had. So when you talk about what are a couple of clues when you're talking to somebody about how they think? Like there's engineers and they have very detailed questions. There's other people who are very fast deciders. They could look at something but do you have a way that you identify that, or? Can you give a couple tips on how to identify one type of person from another? I know most of it would be in the questions they ask. I would think would be one of the biggest keys.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times I think that that could come in the form of surveys. Even if you have to pay for it or entice your existing customers in some way, form, or fashion to see to get them to take a survey to see what the way they think and ask those discovery questions. I know with like my employees and team that I worked with in the past, we would do like dish profiles and things like that. Now I know that that wouldn't always be realistic for your client, but that would if you can take some type of measure to survey your existing customer base to see again, if you're serving investors, your clients are investors, and you can start seeing the patterns in what they think or how they analyze certain things. There's a book by Harvey McKay, the How to Swim with Sharks and Not Be Eaten Alive, I think. And he has what he calls the McKay 66, and it's like 66 questions that like goes in. It's like everything. I don't even know how he gets all this information because he asks like weight and all kind of real personal questions. But I think that it's over time. I think it's a process of continuing conversations, like you said, listening and observing, enticing them to take surveys and give feedback on experiences and things like that, and kind of building up a profile of how they think and what's motivating them to make certain decisions. That would be my advice there. And I don't know if there's, I'm pretty sure there's other ways of doing that. But that's a good question. But the best way I could say would probably be through some survey or some type of feedback method that you get directly from them.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions I have right now. Anybody else?
Sorry, I'm muted. I was going to say we have another question in chat from Brandon. And it says, what makes a business not scalable? Or I guess maybe what would prevent you from being able to scale your business?
I would say
you set up a business so it could be scalable.
That's a good question. And I think that ultimately comes down to your systems and processes, really. In order for you to have a scalable business, whatever, you need to have something that you can repeat over and over and grow. Again, going back to the numbers, once you have that process of finding a lead or finding a prospect, getting them in your funnel, and then how you service them from the point of contact all the way to the point of a check actually being deposited into your account, knowing each step of that process and being able to bring in more people to accelerate that process would be the key that I would say to a scalable business.
I might add on that and just say, making sure you charge appropriately for your services, because if you don't charge appropriately for your services, you can't afford to backfill your positions and hire staff down the road.
That is very true. And that's what, to piggyback on that, a lot of times, especially with people, they often, everything's a commodity in most cases, where there's tons of other people, businesses that's offering something similar to what you are, and really differentiating yourself from all of those. And that's where those offers come in. And again, when we were talking about like the free and the stacking process that a lot of consultants and things like that often do, is adding on value, because we don't just sell this thing, we also do this, and we do this, and we do this, and we do that to perceive that value. So then everybody else may be charging $100, but you're charging $1,000. And the thing is, it's the value that's put on that particular product or service that makes it, and to Cliff's point, when you do so, it puts your company in a better position so that you can actually grow and expand, and you can do a better job of serving your customers and clients with a higher level of customer service, so that you can continue to grow.
Okay, Fred has his hand raised. Fred, you have a question?
Yeah, hey Cameron, I was just wondering, when you're trying a new marketing idea out, how long do you typically give it before you decide whether it's working or maybe in some cases not working? Like, is it a 30 days? Is it 90 days? What do you typically see, or what do you typically use yourself in terms of trying something new or different?
That's a good question, and I think it depends on the medium. So if you're doing like a direct mail campaign, for example, you can see your response rate. You know, for if you send out 1,000 letters and you get 3 calls, you know that you're probably not. It's probably not that great. And so usually you tweak one aspect of it, send it out again, but usually keeping those really small bite-sized chunks. If you're doing like social media, like a Facebook ad, I usually run it for like a week or so. But because you could get like immediate feedback, you can really see like this is going in front of so many thousand people a day, and no one's clicking on it. Obviously, you know, there's something that we can maybe adjust here. And again, a lot of times it's split test and running two ads at the same time. With slight differences, you can start seeing immediately if one is outperforming the other. But usually I try to give it a week if we're doing any type of like ad that I'm running online or something like that, to actually see if there's results, and then I start tweaking it to see. And I will keep one the same, tweak one, go with the one that's performing better, and then continue that process to maximize those results.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Peggy.
Yes. So for somebody like me who is not going to take the time out to do the marketing, is this do you hire a marketing person? Do you hire a social media person? How do you know how to find the right person that can do some of your marketing for you?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. And there are a lot of there's a lot of companies that are marketing consultants. You would really want to find somebody that specializes in your particular your particular field, or the medium that you are. Again, if somebody is good with sales letters, or if somebody is good with online marketing, you know, these are different different mediums in which you would get different results. So I would say that you could go, honestly, you could Google and see. A lot of times people are marketing through social media and stuff like that. That's one way. If you see somebody who is marketing, you can actually look at if you click their links and actually see what they're doing. A lot of times it'll kind of lead you to them. But LinkedIn is a good place. You can also look for like marketing consultants. They have, if you just needed a copywriter, which a lot of times you could just hire somebody to write your copy. There's the American Writers and Artists Association. I think it's maybe, that may not be the correct name, but it's something along those lines, where basically you can go and they have people who can go, or you can go and basically put up a job and say, hey, I want you to write a sales letter for me. Or you can look at people's samples of their marketing material and reach out to them. And that's what I would say would be your best bet.
So my understanding is, if you are first you have to build your social media. If you're going to market on social media, first you have to build your social media following, right? Otherwise, the marketers have nobody to market to, and marketers do marketing. They don't build your following. Is my understanding. I could be entirely incorrect about that, but I think there's people that I've talked to people, they go, oh, we just work social media, we don't do marketing. So I'm presuming they build your following in LinkedIn and TikTok and all those places. And then the marketing people will do the writing, like you said, and then they will be posting on the different social medias or wherever you want your marketing done. Would that be?
Yeah, I think when somebody says that they're doing like they do social media, a lot of times that's getting, like you said, building up a following, maybe managing posts and content that's going up on there, trying getting people to engage and stuff like that. That does help as far as your branding and things like that. But social media gets tricky again because it's hard to track. And when you talk about monetizing, which is the goal of marketing, is to actually make money. Clicks, likes, engagement, none of that pays any bills. So, and it's hard to track that, how many people, unless you are actually getting money off of, like if you were on YouTube and you had a bunch of views, that you're able to get advertising dollars from. But as far as actual customers coming into your store or buying your product or service, social media engagement and stuff is something that's not really, you're not really able to track that to say this is getting me this amount of return. If you're talking about social media marketing and the way that I believe you're referring to is actually running ads on social media, in which you don't necessarily have to have a following. You do have to have an account, but you can go to Facebook ads and you can basically type in your target audience. You can basically write an ad, to target the specific people who have specific interests, specific incomes, and things like that. And then while people are on Facebook, whether they're your friends or following, whether they know anything about you, they'll be scrolling and your ad will pop up and say, hey, and then your message will, whatever it would be to appeal to them. They click on there. Typically, you will want to get them to an external landing page where then you could collect their information so that they can opt into, that's where you will present your offer and say, hey, get this now, get this newsletter, get this information, get this free report, get whatever it is that you're offering, and then they can opt in. And then you have their contact information to follow up with them further, to sell them or to schedule an appointment or whatever it is. So it's two different things. Typically, a marketer is going to actually run ads on that social media, and then there's just like social media managers who will help contact. You really will probably want to have the combination of both of those to benefit the most. Is have a strong social media presence so that when you are running ads, when people go and look you up, they can see, all the following that you have up to that point. But it's not like a prerequisite for you to start doing any marketing.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. Is there anybody who has a burning question?
There was a couple of comments from Ted in chat. He says, regarding scalable, how much alike should separate units be? How much difference can you tolerate among separate units? And then he followed that up with, how much should marketing consultants be expected to be paid for results rather than to be paid for activity? I agree with Ted on that. I've definitely paid for activity and not gotten results.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge a lot of times, is if you don't know in advance of what they're capable of or what their track record is, you can get burnt. I really think that any marketer, especially when they're charging a substantial amount of money, should tie their compensation to the results that they produce, as a percentage. On the downside of that, you could potentially be paying a lot more for really good results, than you would if you just paid them one-off, a flat fee. But a lot of times I see that it's either one or the other. They'll set you up with a landing page or give you a sales letter, write some copy for you, and then say, okay, pay me $10,000, and then kind of send you on your way. And then I know other marketers who it's an ongoing fee of $5,000 a month for us to manage everything for you and to continue to update your ads and continue to run ads and things like that. So I think it really depends on what makes the most sense for you. But I think that you would only want to make that type of investment with somebody who has some type of track record of success, and again, who specializes in your particular industry or market that you are working in, because a lot of this stuff is, when it comes down to the principles, they transfer pretty easily. But at the same time, if somebody's not, like we were saying, if you don't know the language or the biases that go into certain certain markets, then you could really be putting yourself at a disadvantage. So I would, that's why referrals are good, and having people who've done business with them in the past is really important.
Yeah, referrals, always get referrals, 2 or
Yeah.
3. Yeah, the pay question. Well, that's where all the negotiation comes in, is on the pay. The results. I like to pay for results. I'd rather pay a higher amount for results because it's going to make me more money than to pay somebody for that's just me though. Because I get that a result's going to make money for us. Like that.
Yeah, it seems more advantageous really for both parties, because as a marketer, if you're as good as you claim to be, you're going to get paid more in the long run by your client's success, and the client is going to get a greater return on their investment because and they know that they're going to get results prior to actually having to fork over a bunch of cash for something that may or may not produce. So I think that really makes the most sense, honestly.
I agree. Well, I thank you, Cabrin, very much for coming on today. It's been very enlightening. I think we'll have a lot of things to put in place, and I am thrilled that you came, and I hope you will come back again.
Definitely. I appreciate you.